Greetings, Earthbound travelers. It's Friday. That means it's time for Cast Guidance. I'm Tier the DM, the world's okayest DM. And with me today, I have two very special guests. First, we have Christina, aka Tiami from Bloodlines.
Hey.
And someone we haven't seen in quite a while, John, who played Ziraj on Scions of Oblivion. A long-time friend of us, and we consider them family.
Howdy. You might notice I might turn around or hear some background noise. I'm also playing the role of Dad today, so you might hear some toddlers, or I might do audio only for a little bit.
It's all good. Before we get started, just a couple of quick announcements. We offer mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. We are not associated with any TTRPG producers, publishers, and manufacturers. We're just individuals coming together to give our questionable opinions on questionable topics in TTRPG. And finally, just because one of us vapes doesn't mean you should. We want you to be happy and healthy, so we do not endorse the use of nicotine products. All that being said, hi, guys.
Oh, hello.
It's Friday.
Woo.
Yes, Friday.
Oh, man. So, how's everybody doing today?
Things are okay. You know, dad lifing.
I've had the tech gremlin at work Friday, but it's Friday, so hey.
I give a shout out to Peculiar Patrick there in our audience. Speaking of Peculiar Patrick, if you enjoyed the theme song for our show, that was composed by Peculiar Patrick. They make music that slaps. Go find them on Twitter at Peculiar Patrick. Let them know we sent you. Get you some music for your podcast or whatever you're doing. Today's topic is whatever. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. First thing we're going to talk about is how to handle player absences. As Tiami or Christina was doing research on this, so we got to make sure we touch on the topic. And then after that, it's whatever soapbox we climb on.
It was research so much as contemplation, but you know.
So let's dive right into it. What do you think, Christina? How do you handle player absences?
So it depends on the storyline, I think, and what we're doing. Also kind of depends on what the player is feeling like. So I've done the reschedule thing, which isn't always fun. Done the NPC light thing. Depending on what we're doing. I think the most creative one we've had is we've written them like side quests to do during game before. So they're not there, and then the other players are required in game the next session to tell them what went on because they were whatever romancing somebody or had an urgent call home or something like that.
Very cool. What about you, John?
So I go. Well, here we go. There we go. I kind of go multiple directions with it. As part of my session 0, I always ask players, "How would you like me to handle player absences?" Your character's just not present. DM controlled within reason. Like, I'm obviously not going to try to purposely kill your character. But, like, play him as character possible, or designated character control. You designate another party member to run your character for you in the event of your absence. So I do that, and then I like to. All of my worlds include what I call the brain fog, and so whenever a player is absent, brain fog rolls in, and it can affect you in a number of ways. You kind of forget little details here and there, which kind of goes along with like the player not being there and not having all of the details based on the notes, or fully just like the player's absent. Well, the character is there. They just kind of forgot everything. except for how to walk and how to breathe.
Very cool. I take a NPC light approach. They're there. They're just not active. And then hopefully they will watch the stream to get caught up, or at least talk to somebody. I like the brain fog idea, though. I may steal that.
Go for it. Yeah, I don't have the option of, hey, go watch the stream to see what happened.
Yeah. We did the you were drunk and that's why you don't remember. I've done that one before. You were there, you were drunk. That's why you don't remember.
Someone's been miniature painting.
Yeah, Toddler says I have to put this on my head.
Okay. It's a good look.
Very good look. Toddlers, the 2-foot-tall crime bosses of the world.
Yes, indeed. So how do you handle your advancement with players who are absent?
Well, it depends on how long they're absent. Like if they're just like one episode, one session, whatever you want to call it, then they get the same amount of stuff as everybody else does. But if they're gone for like 6 weeks, then I can't. They're not going to advance with the rest of the party.
I don't know that I've had anybody gone that long.
I've not in a long time. You're muted, Joe.
I mean, if anybody was gone that long, it was probably my character, right? Yeah, I kind of go a similar approach. If you're just here or there, non-consecutive sessions, then yeah, you're gonna get all the experience and all that. Gold and treasure and stuff like that. I kind of just you don't get your share of the cut, but most parties will split it equally and like, hey, can I borrow 100 gold for this? Yeah, sure, whatever. But yeah, extended absences, I will either say, all right, let's do a little side quest of what your character was up to keep you on level with the party at least, and have you have some type of income so you're not so far behind. But it's also if there's the, hey, you're gonna be gone chronically, skipping a bunch of, or not skipping, but missing a bunch of sessions, chat with the player like, hey, like, what's going, like, do we need to accommodate something to make it so that you could make it easier to play or whatever. And so it's kind of always that balance of, the topic of today is just going to be communication.
Yeah, well, there's not a whole lot that communication can't solve.
Yeah,
we've talked about that many times. That's why your session 0 is so important, and that's why checking in is important.
Yeah, I think that the checking in is a good one. Well, I've shared with you before, Sarah, that like I kind of am the backup DM for like my regular group. And so when the regular DM is feeling a little overwhelmed or like she needs a break, she'll let me know and we'll write in something. And that's when we were doing like vacations. Like so my character would have to go somewhere so that I could DM because I wasn't playing my character and DMing for like little mini campaign. Um, and so we would write in to the story where my character was going and how her character was coming in so that we could still weave the bigger arc for the whole group, but give her a break and give her a chance to play and, get rid of that DM exhaustion for a little bit.
That's pretty cool. I'll step back and be like, okay, I need a break, and I just have the other DMs run a one shot. It doesn't have to tie into the campaign at all. Just something for people to play to have fun in. Robbie Hoodie 27 says that their DM is something like the person is pulled into a portal. They are not hurt, and they come back when they come back, but without gaining any XP. That's one way to do it. I've thought
Yeah.
of doing that myself.
I've done that before when I was running Adventurers League campaign, getting by the book rules of AL, where if you're not at the session, you don't get XP, and this is before milestone leveling. As a DM, I have learned my lesson. What ended up happening was if a player missed more than like 2 or 3 sessions out of the entire campaign, like the book, they were then a level or possibly 2 behind, which then made encounter building a little bit more difficult. And they felt like they were always underperforming as a character. And like the battles that are happening at that stage in the campaign, they were either being overshadowed by their party mates or constantly like on the verge of death because the caliber of the monsters at that stage of the campaign. And so I have steered away to not penalize players because of life. And every campaign is different and everything works different. But for me personally, I heard my players saying I am not enjoying this anymore and feeling like I am behind or dragging and feeling underpowered, and I have taken that to heart. So it's like, all right, how can we find that middle ground? So that's why it's like, all right, you stay, because now I've switched to milestone leveling. So it's like when you've gotten to this point in the campaign, everybody levels up, no matter how many sessions you missed. You have contributed to getting to this point so far. Also, a lot less math involved with milestone leveling. And so, and then that way it's like, all right, if you miss sub-sessions, all right, yeah, you weren't there for the big dragon horde, you're not going to get 1,000 gold. All the magic items are still going to be with the party, and the party usually says, oh, a fighter that wasn't here for the battle, this sword would be great for them. And they hold on to it, And like I said earlier, most parties are friends and they share. So, you just don't have it in your log sheet for treasure, but I never withhold leveling anymore.
Well, I've not withheld leveling in years, but at the same time, I've not had to. So
Yeah.
I do milestone. So when one levels up, they all level up. So I guess I'm in the same boat with you on that. I don't do XP. Milestone is just so much better in my opinion.
For me, like for our first tangent of milestone leveling, as opposed to just like, oh, we killed a random goblin and we got that last like 10 XP we needed. Now we're leveling up. It's like, no, we did this thing that's advancing the story and this great heroic thing. Now we've leveled up. It has a little bit more impact for me.
And that's the thing from a DM standpoint. I don't have to throw monsters in every fucking session.
Yeah.
I can, use RP and stuff like that. Okay, y'all did great. Y'all have accomplished X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you didn't fight anything this session, but you did, advance the story by doing these things. Here, have a level. You know.
I feel like it got rid of some of the murder hobo characteristics too, because it's not like you just have to go kill everything in the world. Like negotiate with people, barter deals, like try to find interesting solutions to things.
Right. And it's like, yeah, the DM's guide says like you can still get this XP by overcoming in a different way other than murdering, but when that's the easiest option,
Right.
But yeah, it's like, and that again just goes with the player absences. It doesn't impact a player being absent because we're milestone leveling.
Lolly says that milestone seems to be the most life-friendly way of leveling. That's one good way of putting it. And Robbie Hoodie says that they're a known bard and prepare to become famous in their adventures. It's their main goal, if nothing else. And Davey says combat XP in D&D is kind of terrible. It encourages the wrong behavior and makes it way too easy to grind out levels.
It's the classic, I'm going to stay in the basement and kill rats until I'm a level 20 god.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that doesn't really... You could do that, but we're also not playing WoW. We're playing D&D. And so it lets yeah, again, it just kind of circles back to just being able to open up the world of the role play, and coming up with creative solutions, and fighting doors that are completely unlocked and mundane. The bane of every party.
And I think like on a communication one too, like we had um our party got into a dynamic where my character was basically babysitting another character and we were all getting frustrated by it. Um so I asked the DM if I could change out characters, and another player did too. And they were able to find a like in-story way to do that, and it's nice because it's changed the dynamic of the group. Like we didn't have to change the players, but it changed the dynamic of the group, and then it gave the character who was doing the childish behaviors in-game reason to kind of modify his behavior. He still has this basic characteristics, but it's not to the point where it's like somebody's babysitting him. But it was a communication thing. Like,
Yeah.
To not have dead air. Um, so when it does come to those prolonged absences, do you find yourself trying to fill the role with another player? Like if a player's like, "Hey, I'm going to be gone for like the next 6 or 7 sessions," or do you just let the party kind of roll with a man down?
I usually just roll with a man down.
Or
Depending
woman
on
down?
what's going, or woman down, a
Mhm.
person down,
Person down.
guy, gal, non-binary, pal. Uh, uh, Depending on the scenario, if it's something where I can't avoid them getting into this big serious mini boss fight or whatever, sometimes I'll DM PC a character that's there to help them. But they're usually just there to do what they're told. They don't make decisions on their own,
Yeah.
or to deliver information. But I don't bring in other players to substitute. I bring in guests from time to time, but it's not to substitute for a missing
I mean, that's how I started,
individual.
was a guest. And then, hey, look at me. I became a player. And then I went back to being a guest because life. So,
Yeah, but we miss you as a player. Just want that to be on the
oh,
record books.
it's a two-way street. But it's life, time zones, life. Like it was a little bit easier when I was the dad life and we were playing later at night in my time zone. But now that I'm on the West Coast, it's like, yeah, that's middle of the evening. That's like baby's wide awake, we're eating dinner, and it's just like that's real hard. But we'll get there eventually for a guest spot here or there. But you mentioned like the like a mini boss battle or something like that. Do you ever find yourself like inserting well actually I know you, for a fact you have, but like side quests and like one shots that are within realm and story to postpone the big boss battle until all the players can assemble?
Oh yeah, I've done that before.
That's why I was like, I'm about to ask you this question. I know for a fact you've done this. I've been your producer while you've done this. Yeah, I find that that's a good way to, if like, especially if a you're getting up to a big story beat and it's like you want the players to have that experience. It's like, yeah, let's cast tangent and we're gonna go off the rails a little bit. Oh, a mad wizard comes and locks you in an emerald.
yeah.
So
And sometimes it can be just as fun. You
I
know.
was I was gonna say sometimes those are the fun little memories of, oh yeah, I remember that one time this happened.
I always try to, if I can, based on that, like, all right, what holiday's coming up next? All right, how can we have a holiday themed one shot? All right,
So
you're gonna, you've
I
got this really large dwarf, all dressed in red, who's enslaving elves to build wooden toys.
so I totally spaced that it was Easter because I had an Easter one shot. It was Little Bunny Foo and the Mice of the Forest.
The last Easter one shot I ran, new tangent. When they fought the Easter Bunny, it was just basically a reskinned Beholder, and each of the it would throw Easter eggs at the characters, which would each of the Easter eggs was one of the different eye rays.
Nice.
Well, see, what I was going to do is I was going to have the mice shrink them to their size, and they were there to fight Bunny Fufu, who was bopping them on the head.
There we go.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Oh, that
I did it.
sucks.
Feel free to steal my Beholder Easter Bunny, chat.
I will. Robbie Hoodie says that their group canceled for Easter and they're on a 3 weeks of no D&D. They're fiending. Yeah, I hate it when we go long periods of time.
In my primary podcast, we finished campaign 1 and are about to start campaign 2. But to scratch that itch, we are playing Kids on Brooms.
Oh, nice.
So it's like you could always, if you're itching for that little bit of RPGing, try a new system for a couple of sessions. See if you like it.
So what do you think about Kids on Brooms?
It's fun. It kind of, I mean, I'm still learning it. Like D&D, I know the rule set and all that back of my hand. So Kids on Broom, I'm a little bit slower at it as a player. Pardon me. But it's a lot of fun. Our game master, Jonathan, who's one of our cast members, it's 80s action movie themed. Like we are basically fighting Terminators and Skynet
Nice.
while being in a non-IP infringing world of Harry Potter, where J.K. Rowling doesn't exist because she's a fart. That's feminist appropriating radical transphobe for you out there. But yeah, so then we don't have to give her any money. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I played a wise guy kind of kid who's seen the Godfather films one too many times. So it's a lot of fun exploring the different worlds and different systems. I'm about to start picking up the Avatar RPG. I got that book in. So
You need to send me a link to it.
to Avatar or Kids on Brooms?
Avatar. I
Avatar?
have Kids on Brooms.
Yeah, I'll have to once I finish reading the book and try see if I can't get a session going. But yeah, it's interesting. It's powered by the Apocalypse mechanic, so similar to that of Root that I played on the old Twitch stream a while back. So, but yeah, it's fun to switch it up. It also, as a GM, it's good for you to run other systems. I feel it makes you new tangent makes you a better DM by having played and run other systems, because in the world of RPGs, there's so much out there, and it doesn't let you be pigeonholed.
Can't hear you, dear.
Nope.
Nope, we lost you.
Where's that tech gremlin emoji?
Testing.
There we go.
So I know that, Christina, you're learning Kobolds Ate My Baby.
Yeah, and
I love kobolds.
I got the player part down. I'm a little shaky still on the game master part. That's the part I'm trying. I've also been trying to teach myself Badge Quest, so that might come up as a one shot before Kobolds Ate My Baby. But I'm trying.
Well, I look forward to playing on either one of them.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's good for you to learn. Kobolds is great. It's a riot. That one's just so. I love 9th level. Those guys are great. Those folks.
It sounds great.
They recently had a Kickstarter called Pigeons 11, which I couldn't not buy the PDF of, where it's a heist RPG, but you're all pigeons. It's so dumb sounding, and I'm so excited for it.
Oh,
I
all
want
I could.
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, there's an animated movie where they're pigeons. Like the spy turns into a pigeon. That's
Oh, I
all
think
I
it's
can
like
think
the
of
Will
now.
Smith one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. All I know is that it was apparently terrible.
Right.
They also have, which I also backed, and I'm hopefully going to start running here locally, a it's called Venture Society, where it's social emotional learning for children through
Nice.
RPGs, and so like running RPGs for young children to teach them social emotional skills, because that's kind of up my alley of like RPGs for everyone and kids and all that fun jazz. So
Kids playing RPGs are kind of interesting. We did a junior group one time
hmm
with our kids, um, and so um, from our regular group, like a bunch of us have kids, and then the one who only has fur kids was DMing, and it was really interesting um, to see the dynamics. Like we thought we knew what the kids were going to do, and they got so into the RPG part of it, like they kind of turned their personalities around and
hmm
played completely different people, and like what their motivations were and what their sympathies were kind of it was kind of interesting to watch and see how they got into it, how they solved things.
oh for sure. Yeah, I've run when I used to run at the game store in Texas. I've run for all kids, some kids, and no kids. And it's always interesting how those different tables run with all adults. Sometimes the all adult ones are the worst. The adult and kids ones are like you tend to see like all right, which you can tell who's a parent because of how they
Mhm.
interact with the children, and then all kids is a coin toss. It's either gonna be complete chaos or amazing.
Yeah. I actually learned the first time I played D&D, like 40 years ago. Um, I was the only kid in an all adult group, and it was hilarious because they would forget and then they would, you know, use foul language or whatever and then try to apologize. And we're all just like, just keep going. Act like I'm not like just it's okay.
I'm old. I've been playing forever.
I like gave away my age almost, didn't I? Saying I've been playing for 40 years.
In my heart, I've been playing for 40 years. But yeah. I'm just a baby. Uh let's see here. Glad you found a group. Hope you're loving it. So tier,
Yes.
kind of coming back to it. Um when you decide to do your guest roles, you're like, I want to bring in a guest for either a player being an absent or just to have some extra damage output or dynamic. How do you go about that process of figuring out when you're going to bring one when you feel like you need to bring up another party into the mix, and two, how you go about get who is the right person for that?
Okay, so there's a formula for it. You ready?
Go for it.
Do I feel like a guest today? That's my formula.
Great.
That it's just totally random. It's based on how I feel like there's some people that I want to come back and play at my table. So when their availability is open, like you,
This
I'm
guy.
like, I'll make it work. It's like coming up, hopefully not Sunday in 2 days, but the following Sunday, Kendall is going to be guesting for a couple episodes as
Oh yeah.
as a kobold paladin who is Tiami's bodyguard.
Well, there we go. Uh, Yeah, so you sometimes you do plan out in advance when you want to have that player
Yeah,
coming in. Gotcha.
yeah.
So
But a lot of
you
times it's just, hey, such and such is a pretty good player. Let's have him on.
so you're giving me a virile cobalt. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like when you used to give away guest spots, but I'm jaded because that's how I got involved was I won a guest spot.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed giving away guest spots. It's just so hard to coordinate now. That's why I don't do it. But
Oh
if I
yeah.
get this fucking phone call that I've been waiting on, call, then I'll have more free time.
Well, and I mean, we had trouble coordinating because it was LARP season and I was busy, so it was just funny that it worked out that I got to be in the finale.
Maybe Zaraj will make a comeback.
Yeah.
I want trousers to show up.
Oh yeah, trousers. I can make trousers happen. Half my characters are just trolls of my friends' characters. I have a Kenku that is literally just a troll of my other friend's Kenku. And those are the best characters.
We have
Yeah, I
we have
won't.
no go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go on. It was just a
I
random
was just
thought.
saying, we've got children from so many heroes. We've got Zaraj's child, Karak's, others, and so it's just like I want trousers to show up with their finger guns that are literally fingers.
Well, we'll find a time to eventually make that happen when life settles down.
Oh, I understand. But if I get the call, my schedule will change and I can start doing evening games through the week. And I'm looking at maybe putting together a cyberpunk game.
I've yet to see one of those. I've read like overviews and stuff, but
Cyberpunk is fun.
I
I've always
lost
been interested in trying to do a sci-fi cyberpunk type of game. See how that would go. You know, I've done like one session of like the old Star Wars RPG, and that was a little bit fun. But it would be interesting to do a more like Blade Runner esque kind of like sci-fi cyberpunk, because I've lived in the world of fantasy, so I can pull out a character in no time at all. Like you say, hey, here's him. I'm like, give me 30 seconds. I got you a character. Let's go. Whereas like cyberpunk's like, all right, let me try to figure this out a little bit.
That or our good friends over at Diesel Shot, Change Stars.
Yeah.
Amazing system. Amazing system. So much fun. But I want to do something sci-fi-y. And if I get this call in the evenings, on like Thursday evenings.
Maybe indeed. Now
That could be fun.
Thursday, your time evenings is a lot different than my evenings because that's middle of the afternoon for me.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Time zones, people.
Yay, time zones.
This is why you shouldn't have friends in the East Coast.
I'm in the Midwest, so
That's true. Because
We're still
you're Eastern time
Standard
though.
Time.
Yeah.
So.
I was like, wait a second. No, you were still Eastern because when I was in Texas, you were still an hour ahead of me.
that's right. We were friends before you moved, so don't get all high and mighty and uppity.
Yeah, before I was Central and now I'm Pacific. So you know. Couple hours behind here. Cast Guidance started at 9 a.m. for me. early morning chit chats.
Well, and that's one thing that's going to change. Just so you guys are aware, if I get this call and it's good news, we will no longer be doing Cast Guidance at noon on Fridays. It'll have to go to some other time, evenings or on Saturdays. So, yeah.
It's always
Send Juju. I get the call.
yeah. Let's move. Let's. I agree. Let's move Cast Guidance to prime time. You know, either that or it's Saturday morning cartoons for Cast Guidance.
As silly as we get, we'd fit right in.
Exactly.
You know?
Christina, what type of RPGs do you typically find yourself running when you're GMing? Is it mostly D&D or?
Right now it's just been D&D. Like I said, I'm looking into the Kobolds and then the Badge Quest, which is kind of like Girl Scouts meets Scooby Doo. So it's like cookie selling season, and the Girl Scouts are going around, well, the Blossoms are going around town selling cookies, and you kind of encounter little mysteries along the way.
That should
So
be fun.
that sounds like
Uh,
fun.
is that its own system or is it run off of one of the others?
Yeah, I got it off of DM Dave.
Okay.
I do their like Kickstarters and stuff, and it looked like a cute little system. So we're gonna see. Um, but I usually go for more lighthearted stuff. Like I said, I'm usually the relief DM,
Yeah.
so I have a tendency to go for more lighthearted humor
Every
because
yeah, as many times as I've tried to run a serious campaign, it always turns into Scooby Doo. I cannot. I've tried so hard to have like serious, dark, and brooding, gothic Curse of Strahd. Nope, Scooby Doo. I don't know if it's just the way I allow the players to do their shenanigans, to let the shenanigans happen, because I find that fun and entertaining. But also, just like whatever the players want, just like roll with it.
Take their asses to Candyland. I guarantee you it'll change them.
Oh yeah, I'll do we'll do Tim Burton's Candyland. Make it real creepy.
see, I have
I
a
was talking
tendency
about
when
my Candyland.
there's crazy Candyland.
I don't think I've seen that episode.
Oh, we would. So the next time that Shiraz comes to visit, we all need to go to Candyland.
That'll be when Trousers comes.
Yeah.
You find Trousers in Candyland.
That would make sense, actually. Oh,
I'll tell you a simple one that I enjoyed playing that I would like to run sometime was Honey Heist.
Mm.
that was fun. And that was pretty simple. It was like one-page rules,
Yep.
easy peasy.
Yeah, Honey Heist is a good one. I enjoy those one-shot RPG or one-page RPGs. They're always a lot of fun. We did one called Potato, where you're just a simple halfling farmer trying to farm your potatoes. And it was stupid and hilarious, and I loved it.
I tell you, I missed that I didn't get to play Roots with you.
Yeah. That went interesting. Just like, all right, let's overthrow the government. Let's start a revolution. So yeah, that was a fun group. And that was just the free RPG day booklet that I ran that with, because at the time the full game was still in development. So I didn't have all of the documents. So, but now I have the full book and all that stuff. So I gotta look into it more. That Avatar, Kobolds Ate My Baby. Yeah, so just so many indie RPGs I want to get my hands on.
Right.
Just spread it out a little bit. So, and then there's always D&D. I'm, going back into just being more of a player for D&D at this point, which is okay. And chat, if you have any questions about any tangent or anything, just feel free to tippy tap there.
Yeah, because we love our interactive audience. We have the best audience, bar none. I'm with you, Lolly. I want to play Brindlewood Bay. Golden Girls meets Murder, She Wrote. She just sounds like a damn good time.
That's what I was gonna say. That looks so fun. So there we go. That'll be Lolly's one shot one day, right?
Yeah, yeah. I actually know Locke's already called dibs on
Locke-
that
oh,
one. He
that's
wants
right.
to run that one. So
Maybe not.
oh mercy. Totally not prepared for today,
Okay.
guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't sleep for shit. I am just not prepared.
I think my hardest part with doing other systems like what I was having with Cobalt is like I'm having trouble conceptualizing what's a good idea because I haven't played it or game mastered it. And so like I get the dynamics of it, but like having a story arc that makes sense together, I think that's where I sometimes struggle when I'm outside of D&D.
Yeah, I get that. It's like I picked up a RPG based on Watership Down called Bunnies and Burrows, and it's really interesting. And I want to run it. I just finding a scope of story to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm not playing with my printer. My back kept me up. Thank you very much.
You can do both.
No, I'm on a 19-hour print right now, so.
I also enjoy I like being a player. Like John was saying, he's going back to playing D&D more, but I like playing the player in different people's groups because sometimes it gives me ideas on, oh, that was a really interesting concept. We should try that. The way that you do crits tier, my regular um, you know, in-person game DM was watching the stream and she really liked it. And so we've adopted that now where we take the full value of the one die and then roll the other one. Because it was something that we were both like, I really like that concept.
I wished I could say I come up with it. I found it on the internet and was like, that's cool. I'm going to use it.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like sometimes being able to be a player sometimes in somebody else's game can give you ideas of like what works, what doesn't work. But
Yeah.
and then try to incorporate them.
It's hard for me to be a player for the simple fact of I usually figure the story out quickly.
Yeah. I I think the hardest one for me is when I'm playing a character that doesn't have a high wisdom or high intelligence, and I figured out the story, but my character wouldn't have, and
Right.
leaning into that, like yeah, the one Christmas one that I did where I had my players caught in a snow globe, one of them figured it out, but his character wouldn't have, so he just kept rolling with it till we got to the end of it.
Nice. I did a Christmas one shot where a penguin lich had captured St. Clausen and
Nice.
was going to ruin the feast of Clausen, Christmas basically, and had enslaved the elven helpers into mining gold.
I so want to see Penguin Lich now. Oh.
Well, I may bust it out during the holidays.
Yeah, I've definitely stolen things from some of my DMs about what could work in my own worlds. That's part of the beauty of this shared game that we all have.
I'm actually using it now to before I was just stage managing the LARP that I'm with, but I've actually started writing a little bit and writing some like little mini storylines based on kind of the same idea from the fantasy world. So
All right, we're going to go ahead and take our break. I need to take some pain medicine and get the beverage. So we're going to get our beverages, our snickety snacks, and we'll be back in 10 minutes, y'all. for hanging out while we got our snickety snacks, our beverages of choice, and fought off those tech gremlins. Today we're talking about a little bit of everything, so make sure you jump in, give us questions, comments, whatever. We love hearing from the audience. We have the best audience, bar none. We are grateful that we have John and Christina with us today since Locke and Raph had to be out. Thanks so much for being here, y'all.
Yeah, happy to be here, even in between dad duties.
It's okay. I'm half working.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna say,
half my
you
life
guys
work,
aren't the only ones that are on call when you're streaming.
right?
Mine's just my boss is just about 2 foot high and only has so many words.
Put
A
this
lot of
silly
it is
hat on.
no. A lot of it is no right now. No. So
Those are always the fun
where
ones.
were we when we went to break? We were talking other systems and tangents and
Communication.
stealing from our friends.
For our friends. The best.
It's the best.
Yeah, I was laughing earlier when you were talking about when people are out and like the other people holding items, for them, or like, oh, this sword would be good for the fighter or whatever. I actually ran with one party where they let the rogue hold the bag of holding.
You
And
never let the rogue hold the bag of holding. That
they
is
gave
rule number 1 in the book.
every loot went to the rogue, and they were putting it in the bag of holding and some in their pocket and the rest in the bag of holding. It was a good thing she was putting some in her pocket because we lost the bag of holding over bubbling mud. So, good rule not to keep everything in the bag of holding.
We in our first campaign, the barbarian myself was the keeper of the bag. So that usually went well. It's like, oh nope, there goes Carlton charging headfirst into danger with all of our
Oh,
stuff. At least he's hard to kill. So yeah, but yeah, back to stealing things from DMs. My DM Lauren, the way she handles her crits, I've adopted and into mine, and it is max damage on the die that the weapon is. So if it's a D10, you do 10 plus the additional roll. So you always do at least 1 point more than max, because like nothing sucks worse than critting and rolling 2.
That's what I've adopted.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I'm implementing from Pathfinder the critical hit table. Oh yeah, you're not familiar with Tierbot.
I am familiar with it in that when I logged into Discord, I saw what Tierbot was and went, "Oh, that's interesting." In so much as that way of like telling the bot to tell me what my crit hit was.
Yeah. I decided that I wanted to create a bot for Discord, and so I learned Python to create a bot in Discord. And now I'm working on my second bot, DJ Jazzy Tier, to be a music bot. And once I get the volume figured out, then I'll be using DJ Jazzy Tier instead of.
Yeah, I've recently started learning coding as well. I started with HTML though, just because I've done a little bit in the past, and that was a good way to refresh my brain to get into more in-depth things. But yeah, I think even 1D&D at one point at one of the playtest things, the new system is adopting the max die plus 1 roll or plus a roll.
That'd be cool.
So I think a lot of DMs players like it too, because then it always just it feels rewarding, like, because again, there's nothing worse than rolling terrible damage. I also have, where is it? I have a thing from Nord Games, which is a deck of cards for critical hits, and then there's a player deck and a DM deck. So like sometimes I'll just leave these out here on the table, and then a player draws a card, and it has like, if it's a ranged weapon attack, a melee attack, like slashing or piercing, slashing,
that's what-
piercing, bludgeoning, or magic.
That's what gave me my idea. But I've simplified it in Tierbot. It's weapon and spells.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like this one. Tenderizer. Quadruple damage, and the target becomes vulnerable to bludgeoning for a minute. So, this has always been a fun little add-on. But as a DM, whatever bonus you give your players, you also give the monsters.
yep.
Because otherwise, it's not balanced.
Nope.
Like if you're gonna roll a critical, if you're gonna pull from a critical deck, I'm gonna pull from a critical deck.
Exactly.
You want to blind a monster? Guess what? You have a chance of getting blinded yourself.
I don't know. I have a tendency to roll like tier when I DM, so I'll have a big bad monster and then they crit fail.
Which is perfectly fine. We love when you roll when tier rolls like tier. You know,
I will find a set of dice that will not betray me. There's got to be a set out there. I just got to find them.
So fun fact, I've talked to every dice manufacturer ever in the world and all those that are thinking about coming with a time machine to say any dice that goes to tier has to be cursed.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't waste. I mean, buy dice that you think are fun, but don't go looking for that perfect set because it doesn't exist.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad to know that all of the dice companies have cursed me.
Yeah,
It's a
at
giant
my
conspiracy.
request. Now, folks. That's how you cheat. That's how you cheat at D&D. None of this. Oh, I rolled a 7 when it was a 1 on the die. None of that. No, you find dice companies to make your DM have shitty dice.
Well, God knows it's working because I can't roll for shit.
Yeah.
I want to be at a game where me and Will Wheaton are sitting at the same table.
That'd be awesome.
It's like the bag of holding in a bag of devouring. It just doesn't work. It's just gonna implode into an astral sea.
That's what I want to see. I want to see if there's a rip in the space-time continuum.
Good, we got blocks. But yeah, it's no, I like I've definitely gone back and forth on critical tables and critical for both fail and hits. I tend to shy away from them nowadays just because it's one more thing to keep track of. So the addition of a tier bot might be a nice thing of like, yep, just go ahead and do your thing in tier bot. So I don't have to look at this table and try to remember to do the thing. So I can focus on my story.
David wants to know if there's any other house rules. I use God calls. That's a house rule that I created where any player can try to contact any god. And so it's a D100 with a 25% chance of making contact with the gods themselves. And then it's another roll that's only 5% chance of getting the god you want. If you do this, then other gods could show up. And sometimes they're helpful, sometimes there's not. For those of you that are familiar with the NPC Wilhelm of Wilhelm's House of Wonder, Wilhelm was an air pirate in one of my other games. And Peculiar Patrick's character made a god call and got a hold of the wrong god. Got a hold of an angry Poseidon that was angry at airships because ships were supposed to be on the seas and destroyed the ship. So, yeah, god calls. Shit can happen.
I'll have to think of some of my other house rules, but the big one for mine is metagaming has meta punishments. If you're metagaming at my table, it ruins the fun for everyone. So hey, all of a sudden, this high level caster has a second 9th level spell because you're metagaming. You know, I then make it so that you don't know. It's like, that's not supposed to have that. Guess what? It's my world. It does now. Tiny Bean is trying to get into the camera, so I'm just going to close this while I'm here. But yeah, the critical max damage one is a good one. What's another one? What I'm experimenting with is casting unprepared spells by doing magical checks and risking exhaustion.
Oh, that's cool.
Girl, my toddler just climbed a step stool from the wrong side and got stuck.
I also have the fuck it rule, whereas that's what it's called. You can try anything if you can describe it to me, and I will assign a number to it and let you roll because fuck it, it's a game.
So yeah, usually I will allow a player, like a spellcaster, if there's and they can't attempt it more than once so far, because again, it's a new house rule that I'm experimenting with to see how broken it is, because spellcasters are already pretty powerful. You tell me what spell you're trying to cast. It has to be a known spell, either from your divine classers where they just know all their spells of a level that you can cast, and but for wizards, one that you know but have not prepared. And then it's right now an Arcana check with your spellcasting modifier, so that way it doesn't penalize our wisdom casters. DC contingent on the level of the spell. The bigger the level, the harder it is. And if you succeed, you have to still have the slot. Regardless if you succeed or fail, you spend the slot. If you succeed, right now I have it. The slot for the level and the lowest in a first level slot, the lowest one, you got to spend that as well, just to because you're going off book, you're really drawn from that internal. Oh, you broke it.
Yeah.
Great job. You're going from that, and then if you fail, you not only spend the slot that you were going to spend, but you also get exhausted.
Very cool.
So again, working out the logistics and play testing it to fine tune it. So far, like it's usually like, oh, I'm gonna try to cast this 5th level that I don't know or don't have prepared. So it's gonna cost me a 5th level slot and a 1st level slot.
Cool. Once you get it fine tuned, let me know.
I will. Yeah.
David from chat says they came up with a variant for magic item attunement. It is a point-based system that forces harder choices at low levels and opens up options at high level. That's pretty cool. That's one of the biggest bitches I've had. At the same time, one of the biggest compliments I've had is the attunement system. I think it's awesome because you don't have I've got 30 magic items, but at the same time, I think it should be more than 3. So.
But doesn't that kind of go like whenever you pick, like whenever somebody picks a cap, you're like, oh, but if I could just have one more.
Like for my attunement stuff, I stick with the 3. But I'll check with players like, all right, during your long rest, are you switching up any of your attunements? And so they can carry the 30 weapons or 30 magical items on them, but it's going to be a day-by-day basis of what they're going to use and prepare. And then that way they're not finding themselves with the same loadout, if you will, every day. But then also, oh man, we know we're going into this volcano. I'm going to switch out my cold weather gear for heat resistant stuff, right? And then it kind of lets them make a little bit more tactical decisions based on what they think might be coming. And it turns out the volcano was full of acid. And so,
Very cool.
Yeah, but David, then you have to play an artificer. David said if you want more items, play an artificer.
Yeah,
I don't hate on artificer. I just haven't had a chance to like explore one as a player and actually like more than just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna build this character and then I haven't really had a chance to play it. So they might be fun and all that, but Yeah, I'm just gonna hate on them until then.
I think they could be fun, just not fun for me. So. All
I
right,
just
guys,
haven't
we're gonna
had
have
a
to.
good time. I haven't had any decent experience. Not like no terrible experiences as a DM with the Artificer. Just every time I play or DM and I have a player who's an Artificer, it always just seems to be the same kind of trope. So it's just like it seems a little one note.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're gonna have to wrap it early. I can't set up any longer. My pain is just off the charts today. So I want to thank you all for joining, and I want to thank John and Christina for being here. Let's remind people who you are, where they can find you, and let's get out of here.
Hey, I was John, aka Dad / Ziraj, who is mom. And today I was one of your DM chatters, and you can find me all over the internet at that_film_guy.
And I'm Christina, and you can find me on Twitter at Tia Morskaskula.
And I'm Tier the DM, the world's okayest DM, and you can find me on Twitter at Tier_the_DM. Remember, guys, love and inclusion. These are the torches that light a path to a better tomorrow. Come join us and be torchbearers. And until next time, if someone doesn't know, don't cast aspersions, cast guidance. Love you guys.